The dark and murky waters of the Tearalaments. The meta of tomorrow, Tearalaments. Let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Pegasus and the Wise Guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you sub. Make sure you hit the bell, guys. Before we jump into this video, it does have another layout just so you don't have to waste any time listening to my dumbass. But if you do want to listen to my dumbass, I did want to mention a few cards that will most definitely help you as far as picking up the deck, learning the deck, and then having your cards locked and loaded and ready to go. Let's talk about those, shall we? Instant Fusion, guys, basically is a card that I feel is a mill 5 inside of this deck. And really, it can be more than that, depending on the target that you pick. If you pick Meru, it could actually be 8 because she has an additional effect to mill 3 herself. Dracostapelia is a card that I have to mention also ahead of time just because it's a generic fusion that literally requires a fusion monster and a dark monster, and this deck is full of that. So most definitely, if you're planning on playing this deck, you will have to pick this up as well, and it is a card that is already out, so you might as well grab him now before they shoot up to the moon when the deck comes out. Trust me, guys. Foolish Burial actually being a fusion spell inside of this deck is absolutely insane. Trust me on that. Last but not least, although the deck is very, very versatile as far as mixing specifically with fusion decks, the only cards that you can really begin to mix them with are specific cards like Millennium Eyes Restrict because of cards like King of Swamp existing. And then additionally, you obviously have to worry about Shadal's branded. I've seen a lot of videos on those. And Predaplant is the one that I feel hasn't been touched on as much, but Predaplant most definitely can be used and mixed in with the archetype. Now let's get into the combo, shall we? So I had a Facebook friend ask me the other day how versatile is this deck. This deck, I'm talking for 19 minutes in this video and I haven't even scratched the surface. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, and starting off the combo, normal summoning the Rhinoheart and then dumping a Meru is how you get to set up any of your obvious combos. Obviously, any of these can do that, but I'm just showing Meru in this specific case. Maybe you want to hold it back in case you go into Kid Kalos and then have this card. But essentially from here, normal summoning Rhinoheart, sending Meru, and then Meru triggering in the graveyard to then summon Kid Kalos. And then Kid Kalos, when it's special summon, you get to take a Tearalaments card from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the grave. In a Foolish Burial style effect, you could dump one of these, or you could dump one of the monsters and extend a little bit farther. It just depends on what in the world your hand is. And there's no way for me to quantify all that in one single swipe and one single replay because there's just so many different avenues to go down. It literally is a fork in the road. Each and every time, maybe 2 or 3 times a turn, you're going to have forks in the road, guys, just being honest. Do you want an Omni Negate? Do you want a Sinister Shadow Games in the meta noise? It depends on what you need. It depends on what the situation calls for. For this specific combo, I'm showing Meta Noise, which is the Book of Moon, Sinister Shadow Games of the archetype. Forgive me for flipping the coin. But anyways, guys, let's say your opponent would go to normal summon. This is where you would trigger the trap card, Book of Mooning their card, and then triggering, even if you don't have another Tearalaments or another card out on the field, you definitely, if you have one in the hand, if you don't have one in the hand, it really just kind of it's going to basically shape out your whole turn. Using that, after that, you get to send a Tearalaments card and then go directly into the Predaplant, Dracostapelia, which is another interruption, which is an effect veiler on legs. I'm just saying, guys, this stuff is really, really fluid, really, really easy to get off, and it gets straight to the point rather quickly. The next combo I wanted to show is with the Realm. I'm not going to go through all the Primal Realm. I'm just going to call it Primal and Realm. Got it? All right. Anyways, with Primal Realm, just what I'm going to call it, and Rhinoheart, you have 2 names essentially, and then obviously it's an interrupt all the time on the field, just so you can fully understand the field spell before I jump into it. These are your options. Obviously, each and every time you can add any of these, but for this specific one, I feel like maybe the situation may call for you to have the level 4 in your hand. It may not. Maybe you need to make another fusion in a more explosive type of way. You may not. It just depends. It depends on what your hand is, and there's no way to show that inside of baseline combos, so I have to explain it and talk your head off. Anyways, guys, and summoning Rhinoheart, then dumping Shaylin this time, just to kind of show a little bit of versatility. Shaylin shuffling itself back to then summon out Kid Kalos. Pretty much the same thing as any other combo where you're summoning Rhinoheart and then sending one. This time we're going to grab the Crime, which is the counter trap card and an Omni Negate. clearly with this, you don't necessarily have to have another Tearalaments inside of your hand. It just helps to. You can still only use the monster on the field, which I'll get into in a second. For this specific combo though, we're going directly from here, dumping the level 3 out of the hand. Hoffinus, I don't even try to ask me how to say that. It's a pretty cool name though. Then dumping that back to the bottom of the deck, then putting the extra deck monster back into the extra deck, and then summon out Dracostapelia. Then pretty much you have an effect veiler. And then again, as I said before, it is an interrupt as well, because you shuffled something back or put something back to the bottom. You can pop with Primal Realm. Really, really powerful, guys. The next combo as well, I wanted to show Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is an extremely powerful card in this deck because it facilitates a lot, just like Praying Kids. Being able to instantly get Kid Kalos directly out onto the field, and then be able to instantly, after that, get it instantly, directly go into something else, is really going to again matter, because this is another decision tree. What do I need in this situation? That's what you're asking yourself. If I were to play something out completely from a single Instant Fusion, just to show you its silliness, Instant Fusion grabbing Kid Kalos grabbing Rhinoheart, which is the engine. So Instant Fusion literally starts your engine. Rhinoheart then dumping Meru, as I showed you in the combo earlier. And then from there, you can either make another fusion or you can make directly into the big fusion. And the big fusion is pretty decent. It can't, you know, I'll talk about it in a second. The bottom line is that you can make that off of an instant fusion alone. Bottom line, in summarizing this fusion though, it literally bounces cards completely off of the field and then replaces itself. The big fusion is very, very good. You don't necessarily need to get into it. Most of the time you're going to want to get to Dracostapelia and some of your other toolbox. But that's just saying, guys, it's really, really good. In this combo, I'm going into Lubellion and showing a little bit of the combo of how two different engines can work in tandem. Branded is definitely one of them, and it's going to definitely raise the ceiling of a lot of the Despia stuff and a lot of the branded stuff. I'm not covering Despia specifically because that's a whole nother video in itself, and hey, I like to get a little bit of the viewership. But here, the Lubellion triggering and then chaining to some of the Tearalaments cards. You get to Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. One of them is going to be chain blocked, whichever one you feel like you need the most. And then you get to end on Kid Kalos, shuffle that back into the deck, and then go from Kid Kalos and Ice Jade, and then passing off to your opponent. Setting a counter trap behind that also is really, really decent, because that may be able to prevent your opponent from being able to play. And off of that card economy, you essentially have a shutdown from there. So essentially, Kid Kalos sitting next to Mirror Jade with a counter trap behind it, 3 cards in your hand. That's without even extending into anything else. Setting the Sinister Shadow games, setting the card that's really an infinite impermanence. Maybe you could extend a little bit further. It literally depends on your hand, and if you open Star Fraud, all of that stuff alone. I just wanted to show that. The counter trap, as well as just the fusion by itself on the field, Kid Kalos. I just wanted to show a little bit that you don't actually have to have a card in your hand to be able to trigger that and then extend past that and then go into the bigger fusion. So that by itself gets to replace itself and then replenish your hand. Now, obviously in some of these combos, whatever that you actually mix into the combo, whatever you mill can completely change the combo. So just make sure you're aware of that and craft your deck accordingly. In this last combo, I just wanted to show a little bit of a test hand, guys, I guess. So opening Field Spell, Rhinoheart, as well as Shaylin, Ash Blossom, and Impermanence. So starting off a turn, I would go from here directly, Primal Realm. I would go directly into one of the other names. For me, I would go into Hoffinus just because I feel like that's actually correct here. And then from here, probably normal summoning the Rhinoheart is the first correct play. I'm just playing out a test hand, Rhinoheart to then dump the Meru. Obviously, that's how you would get to all 4 names extremely quickly. See how we got there? Then from there, Meru being able to then put a card on the bottom of the deck. Doesn't necessarily have to be the Rhinoheart, because this time you want to end on a rank 4. So that's what we're going to do here. From here, Kid Kalos is summoned. And then from here, you get to either add or dump. And then from here, we're going to just add back the level 3 that we just did. So if you saw that, that's pretty cool that you get to use the level 3 and then put it right back in your hand. Floating card economy always matters in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's a good sign that something is meta. Just my opinion. Shaylin herself in the hand can special summon herself from the hand. And then from here, Obviously, you have to be aware of anything that you mill, because obviously the deck mills a lot. Everything is pretty much going to be triggered from there, and anytime a card is sent or special, in this case Shaylin is special, you get to mill the 3 extra, and then from here you're getting to end on the rank 4 usually, or you're getting to extend into something else. Gonna be honest with you guys, this deck will make you feel like you're rambling when you're trying to explain it, because I've seen it over and over again. But anyways, Dragostapelia as well as Time Thief Redoer is probably the end board that you can get out of that hand that I've showed. And then from there, Dragostapelia is an interruption, Time Thief Redoer is an interruption, and a really powerful interruption if you get to snatch a trap card from your opponent. Then triggering all of the Tearalaments effects makes this card almost a necessity to play in the deck. It's just simply too good, because then you get to float into your engine, right back into your engine, not lose any momentum, then go straight into a Kid Kalos and keep everything going. Hope you guys can see how silly this deck is, and this again is just the baseline, which makes it absolutely insane, because being able to summon out the fusion, hit the Kid Kalos on their side of the field, also trigger the field spell, you also have Dragostapelia, you also have 2 cards in the hand, you obviously would have set the impermanence. Do you see how explosive this deck is, and I haven't even deep dived it yet? That's why I'm saying you may want to pick up Splight and pick up this. Over here, Maxi won't actually be legal, so, well, you know, we just had a ban list, Maxi isn't back. Therefore, I feel that you don't have to worry about Splight on the same level. It's still going to be extraordinarily powerful, but they're going to have to open up what they need to open up, or they're just going to be able to get to that combo with Halka Fibrax to then get it whatever hand trap that they needed. Again, guys, as I said, for time and for content purposes, I'm not going to wear y'all out with talking on and on about each and everything that you see down there in the side, because, well, let's face it, we have stuff like Alubert, we have stuff like King of Swamps. Nib, I think, is going to be absolutely irrelevant. I didn't even talk about Staff Frost or show any combos with Staff Frost, simply because I feel like it's self-explanatory. It mixes directly into the archetype, into the lore, actually. And being able to either go into a Synchro 9, a Synchro 8, because all of the levels fluctuate up and down, whether you're summoning out Meru, which is a 2, Hoffinus, which is a level 3, or either one of the level 4s, you have synchro climbing as well. Do you see how versatile the deck is? I haven't even talked about Lightsworn. Lightsworn is a combo video in and of itself, and that's something I would actually need to spend some time with to make the perfect combination, because that is so explosive. I feel like I would need at least a week to really be able to build it correctly. You could also mix it with the Destiny heroes, as you guys have already seen stuff like the Croc, as I mentioned the Croc before. I just wanted to show it as it's coming across your screen. But that's what I'm saying, guys. Each and every one of these cards has a little bit of justification for having its own variant. I play Infernoids a lot. Fusion Deployment is a powerful card I didn't even talk about. Sea Mare could be put into the deck, and then you can put Totally Awesome into the deck. The Predaplant could be extended past the Predaplant that you're already playing, like Dragostapelia, to be able to then extend into something else and then have a little bit of spot removal or be able to attack over something. You can play the Dark Link. Do you see how much versatility I'm talking about? I'll continue. Anyways, guys, getting back into the main deck, I hope you guys completely understand what I mean. I didn't even, I didn't even talk about Snow like that. I didn't talk about Aluber like that. Branded being able to load up the zombie stuff, like if Fluandries is still around, it definitely will still be around. You just have all of the versatility in the world. The hand traps, guys, I feel like multiple Ogres, multiple Veilers, multiple Ashes. You just want to be able to stop your opponent, and I feel like Ogre, Veiler, and Ash are still going to be good around the time that this deck is actually released. Ghost Ogre being an insane card as well. I feel like Nibiru is going to literally be irrelevant because so many decks just don't care. But some of them are in a layered style fashion dropping Nib. So like a lot of these decks are hitting you in a layered style fashion and summoning 5. So Nib may be able to be in the deck. But if you're playing like something like Winda, you're just not going to be there anyway. Haven't even shown the combo with the turn 0 Winda. That's another video in and of itself. But getting back into the Shaddoll Beast and Squamata, you could put 2 Beasts, you could put Hedgehog, or you could put whatever the hell you want to right there. But I feel like if I'm milling the Squamata, I want a Squamata send Beast. I wanted 2 Shaddoll names. I feel like Squamata and sending Beast is what I wanted. Hoffinus is the card that can pretty much facilitate a turn 0 window. But in this specific case, It's just a level 3 that really facilitates everything about the engine that you would need, and they all pretty much have the same style of effects, although this one really triggers hardcore off of your opponent's monster effect. So whenever you see that, that is how you would load up a turn 0 window. If you need to see it in a video, just make sure that you go hit the like button or go watch your scene, because I saw it on your scenes page and I thought it was the silliest thing I'd ever seen, and it's what pulled me into the deck in the first place, because window is window. Anyways, and getting back into the archetype, Meru is the card that can help you facilitate Lightsworn decks and Infernoid decks being able to mill 8. If you guys already saw where I milled 5 in that combo, essentially if you have Meru, you can mill 8, but you would have to worry about Infernoids not being able to summon other cards if you activated Void Vanishment that turn. So that variant, you probably have to take out Void Vanishment, just kind of thinking and brainstorming off the top of my head. The Lightsworn stuff is the same way, and this stuff is light and dark, guys. So, I mean, you know what I mean? This is how explosive a lot of this stuff is. I don't necessarily know how good a Chaos version of the deck would be, because these cards are shuffling themselves back. But hey, I'm just saying. Shaylin is a card, again, that special summons itself. Just to fully understand the card, after you special summon itself, it's usually going to kickstart a lot of combos, or it's going to make a redoer. That's what you're summoning it onto the field most of the time, and it's going to make a really easy redoer if you open up Rhinoheart. Or if you have an instant fusion and want to play another target and you want to jump straight into that. You could also use the instant fusion in this specific deck as well, if you have the spot, or you just want to use the Muddy Mud Dragon and one of the level 4s, the Rhinoheart. You could go into Totally Awesome, or you can have a 2200 Dweller. I hope you guys are seeing all of the versatility and understanding the silliness of all of this. Now with Grand Duke, I noticed with the continuous trap as well as this card, that's a little bit of a combo as well, more versatility. Salic is a really, really good card, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to be meta or necessary. It's just really going to depend on whatever the meta game is at that point. I definitely feel that Meta Noise is insane. It's a better version of Sinister Shadow Games. It's literally even better. And every deck that has an Omni Negate that can touch everything and then trigger its entire engine, even if you don't have engine cards in your hand, as long as you have a fusion, I really feel like that's insane as well. But Meta Noise is the card I definitely feel like you should probably play 2 or 3 of. 3 is probably correct. I just don't know yet. That's going to take some time. Foolish Burial in this deck, again, remember when they're sent to the graveyard, they trigger their effects to fuse. Therefore, Foolish Burial inside of this deck is a fusion spell. That's absolutely insane. The Retinus, the thing about this is, if you're playing Destiny Heroes, if you're playing King of the Swamps, or you're playing cards that grab polymerization, it's definitely something you want to think about. And then pretty much the rest of the extra deck, I would definitely play Mud Dragon, because anything where you can generically make fusions, which is, again, as I said before, limiting a lot of the engines down. You can't use it with all of the with all of the other fusion decks, because some of these fusion decks specifically need stuff, so they would just be variants to use the Tearalaments. But as far as the extra deck and all of this stuff, man, guys, this deck is insane. So, in summary, Lightsworn stuff, King of Swamp, Despia. I could mix in trick stuff. I could keep going on and on and on. All I will say, guys, is just pick up this deck and Splight. They're both going to be dumb. They're both going to change the meta. And the meta's pretty good right now. Yu-Gi-Oh's in a good spot. The ban list just dropped. Let us know what you think about this deck down in the comments. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Fair play to you as you're signing out. Arrivederci. Pegasus out. Ciao, bella.